What's going on,
What's up?
everybody?
What's up?
What's up? Welcome to Manhood Moments. This is a woman's takeover on
The women
tonight.
are taking over.
Yes, we are. We are live tonight on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. So we just want to welcome everybody to the conversation. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. We're going to have a really good time on tonight.
That's
So
what's up.
welcome
That's
to the
what's up.
conversation. So yes. So we're going to do a little bit different on tonight since this is a takeover. So we get to choose what we want to discuss. And so, but we've been really having some really good conversations over the past couple of weeks. The
Mm-hmm.
Manhood Moments hosts have been doing a really great job bringing in some really great individuals to speak on manhood, empowerment,
Absolutely.
leadership, all
Mm-hmm.
those areas. So tonight we're going to kind of take a little shift in the conversations on tonight. So Stephanie and I, we're going to have a little conversation about, this is what, February, so it's like kind of lovers month, Black History Month, and all that good stuff. But we're going to kind of focus on, since this past week was Valentine's Day, which was what, I don't even remember.
Monday.
It
But
was
just of
Monday.
note, LaVada and I are not Valentine's babies. That is not a holiday we enjoy. So we're gonna put a little twist on this whole, women takeover thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Stephanie and I, we were born the same day, a year and a day apart, exactly to the day and the year. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but we just don't have that Valentine's Day kind of nature
Vibe.
or
Like
spirit,
that's not us.
It's not that we don't appreciate something, but just to celebrate and make a really big deal out of it. I'm not a card person, flowers.
Nope. No candy.
Sorry.
I don't need none of that.
Yeah, we
None of
would
that.
save
We
you
can
hundreds
bypass
of
that.
dollars.
Right.
Yes, we save our men hundreds of dollars. Have to worry
Yes.
about Valentine's Day.
But that does not mean you can skip on our birthday. How about that? Let's just make
Exactly,
that
most
clear.
definitely. But it's important to learn your mate, your partner, though. So don't go by us. We would not be, the individuals that you would want to go by. That's why we want to have this conversation about romance. So, Stephanie, how do you see romance? What does romance really look like for you?
Well, I'm not really one of those people that is just a touchy feely, hugged up all on you type of person. I'm just kind of like, just kind of give me my space, like maybe I want to just like tap you for a couple minutes and then I'm gonna ease on over to my corner. But if you hugged up under me, you smother me, I'm out. Just give me my space. We can meet up in between, and be grown, and then I can ease back on over. That's good for me. I'm real easy.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I'm a touchy person. That's my love language. Touch and
No.
quality time. So yeah, we don't
Mm-mm.
have to be here just
I'll
every
talk you
day,
to
all
death. Now
day.
that's what I will do. I
Yeah,
ask you 50 million questions, and that's probably about as close as I'm gonna touch you.
with your voice, right?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. So, do you like a romantic guy or what? Do you like romance in a relationship?
I do. I do. I mean, I think it's really necessary.
Yeah.
But just the whole for me, you need to have a hobby. You need to have a job. You need to have a hobby. You need to have some friends. We're not gonna be together 24/7. That's not
Yeah.
my thing. I'm an only child. I'm okay with being by myself and talking to myself. I think I have great conversations with myself. You cut into my monologues, and then I'm like, well, you get out of my conversation. It's between me and me. But I do like romance. I like the dinners and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm not real big on surprises.
Yeah.
But,
Nah, neither am I.
right, okay, but
Not at all.
right,
Yeah,
but
not
all
at
the
all.
extra flowers and stuff, those little things, I
Yeah.
don't need all that. I think you can show love in some other ways. It's just by little notes or hey, I appreciate you today, or you know what,
Right.
take the evening off. I'm gonna go ahead and cook dinner and all that kind of stuff, and I know you had a rough day type of deal. Or sometimes it's
Yeah.
listening without you responding. Like sometimes I just need to vent, and then I'm like, okay, cool. But once you get to responding, maybe you don't respond the way I want you to, and we got a little
Right.
issue, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not give the dinners, none of that. I'd rather pay for an experience, go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, the museum, the library, or somewhere, just really off. I don't have to have a dinner. I don't even have to eat that day. We can just
Yeah.
go somewhere, take a walk. I'm cool with a walk, cool with a book or just sitting back and watching a movie or something like that. But yeah, the jewelry, no, cakes,
No.
flowers, None of that. Yeah, let's. I'd rather pay for an experience to go somewhere to see something I've never seen before. That would
Exactly.
be
And we can
my
share that together. Exactly.
right. Yeah, exactly. A post-it note. I'm cool with post-it notes. I like post-it notes for a gift. So yeah,
Mm.
I'd rather post-it notes or flowers. Give me the post-it notes.
Post-it, definitely post-it notes. I got a ton of those cards. I
Right.
like to send cards, it just, kind of send you with a card, just, with a special note in it or something. That's just for you. It's not a pre-stamped note or anything like that.
Right, exactly. So, like I said, if you just not join Manhood Moments, this is a takeover. Stephanie and I are taking over on tonight, just having some conversation about, since this is February, the month of love. So we're going to also share a story, and then we're also going to bring some panels on our men from Manhood Moments, and also a special guest. We're going to bring them in, chime them in on the conversation, ask them some of those horror questions. So, ladies, gentlemen, if you are out there, please feel free to type your question or your comments in the chat. Join the conversation with us on tonight. So we're
We are
looking
on.
forward to it. So I'm going to go ahead and read this story that I found. I don't have the exact citation for it, but I thought it was a really cool story. And then we can share some points after we have this conversation, read the story, and then see where we can go from there. Okay.
All right.
So the story is, a few weeks ago, my wife and I were walking through a furniture store looking for a television stand that we both liked. I walked past a desk that I had fallen in love with. I needed a desk for my office and pointed out to my wife. A few days later, my wife called me from that same furniture store and asked, "Would you like a protection plan on the desk you like?" She was ordering the desk for me. 2 days ago, while I was sitting at the desk that had just arrived at our home, I told her that I love the way my office is coming together. Her response: "I want you to have a space that you can feel creative in." So, how are we as ladies showing up in relationships, throughout our connections, our times together? This man was thinking, they're going to get a desk, and she's right there to support him and to help spread the love and just to help him in his growth and his development. And so I have a few pointing questions that I would like to ask us as women. If you're out there listening as well, to men too, please definitely chime in. So number one, have a vision. This is for women and how we can show up, just like she showed up for her partner, her husband, your partner, your spouse. Have a vision for how to make his life better. Most women are visionaries anyway. So
Mhm.
and we're also planners. So we're going to plan it out. We're going to have vision for it. That's something for him. He wanted the desk. Hey, boom, let's make it happen for him. Another tip: be in the relationship to enhance your husband or your partner's life. Yeah, we are there to show up, to be engaged, to help support, see the vision, help with the vision, get some things accomplished in life, well, no matter what it is. And then we
Right.
both agreeing on it. Let's show up and let's do it. Because I always believe that, his growth, his success is mine as well. I'm growing, I'm being
Absolutely.
successful too. Right. Showing up in the relationship. Number three, your enhancement is not to control, but to connect, to commit to the purpose of the relationship. So our enhancement is not about control. And I know that's a big area in relationships, because people, there's that war about, you trying to control me, you trying to control me, and that back and forth in there. The relationship is not, when we show up, it's not about controlling one another.
But I think when people have those control issues, it's more of a communication issue, that they don't know how to communicate just themselves, but they don't know how to communicate with their partner in a manner that their partner can hear it and receive it, and to be able to respond, in a way that is conducive to them moving forward.
Right, exactly. Definitely with the communication part, yeah, that is critical, and we have to realize and understand and say, hey, even if the person is feeling like in a relationship that I'm feeling like I'm being controlled, let's
Uh-huh.
address that. And what does
Right.
that look like? Okay. So I'm not trying to control you. I'm just saying that bow tie just don't look right with that shirt and that blazer and that jacket and those shoes and all that. It's just not coordinating
Hmm.
properly. And I don't want to see you out there and they be like, "Dad, she let her husband come out the house looking like that." So you know what I'm saying? So it's not really about control or anything like that. Even, on the flip side, don't let me walk out the house looking crazy and sideways either, not out of pocket. So
But you
yeah,
know what? For some people, it just might be a thing where, you know what, come as you are, go as you are. I'm comfortable with it if you're comfortable with it.
yeah. So
It's
definitely,
just y'all two. It
yeah.
ain't about what other people think for real.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely having that conversation. We are there to enhance our spouses, our husbands, our partners, boyfriends, the situations, to enhance their life, to connect to the purpose of the relationship. Number four, know if you are God sent or I went. That was something I had to struggle that I dealt with for a while too. Is I want to be God sent. I don't want to be where I went and just jumped out there and this is so not where I belong or where I fit in or where the other person fit into my life as well too. And so
But I
I
think that I'm
go
sorry, I
ahead.
think that comes with growth. I know me personally, when I was younger, I was jumping into some stuff just because, I want to be here, I want to be here, I want that dude, I want that dude. Just jumped in it. Not necessarily, feeling like I belong that that I belonged there, that I was welcomed in that space. I just
Hmm.
jumped in it because I could, or I
Yeah.
felt like I could. But I think as you grow and mature, then you have a different purpose, and you have a different a stance on things.
Right, exactly. Taking a different approach. And then I think about force fitting. If I went, I have to force myself to be in that space.
Right.
Or he has
You
to
weren't
force
necessarily
himself to.
invited.
Right, exactly. And
Hmm.
force himself to be in that space. And I'm forcing myself to do things, or he's forcing himself to do parts that he don't want to do, and I'm forcing I don't want to do. And so when
Right.
I went, it's like it's that forcing, and we shouldn't have to force fit ourselves into a relationship at all.
But you
And
got to
being
know who you are and know what you want in a relationship and out of a relationship and out of a partner. And so if you don't know those things, you will force yourself into something that you think you want. That may not be
right.
good for you.
Exactly. And it may not fit the scope of your pathway as well too. It's like, okay, this is my journey here. But then
Hmm.
the partner is like, nah, that's not what I want. That's not what I had in mind. I just want
Yeah.
to get up and just do this and go here. And I'm not into anything else. I don't have to do anything else. I'm content with just being right here at this level right here.
Right. 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 Right.
Oh yeah. And so being God sent is divine alignment and the results will prove growth. So when you're God sent into a relationship, there's a level of maturity. You say, hey, I'm here in this relationship for a purpose. And I
Hmm.
know that the Lord has a purpose for my life, and that's the direction that I want to go in. It's a divine alignment when it's God sent. And,
Now, do you think that people who don't know what their purpose is, do you think that they can align, or that they can enter into a space with someone who may guide them into their purpose? Because
they
not
should.
not
Yeah.
everybody has a spiritual background, or
So
or
true.
even in that lane. And so,
Yeah.
sometimes, you have people who say, I was God sent, and then some people say I was Satan sent. So, you know, somewhere, something got to fit somewhere.
Right. And there are people out there that apply the principles that are not believe in God or anything like that, but they're applying the principles like, yeah, you come into my life. I want to make your life better.
Right.
And if you come into a relationship, a partnership with someone, and they're not trying to make your life better, then yeah, we got to kind of question that whether they are Christian or not. So there are some good people out there that really want to have some really great, awesome relationships as well too,
Hmm.
and they want to see their partner grow. They want to see their partner expand and be successful in their journey.
And
So yeah, they want the best.
I think it's also important to know that, not everybody comes into your life for a whole, season. Some people are there just, just for one season, two season, three seasons, or maybe just for a day, and then just to recognize whatever that gift is that they bring to you, good or bad, use that to better yourself. I
Yeah,
like this.
most
I like
definitely.
this question that Ryan has.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, yeah. That, of course, that LaVada and I are seasoned. Do you think that as a late teen, early 20, so in my 20s, I'm gonna be honest, I was hell on wheels. You couldn't tell me nothing when I was in my 20s. Now, I did have my daughter when I was in my 20s, but I
Yeah.
was hell on wheels. Like, I was selfish. I wasn't taking other people's feelings. I wasn't being accountable for anything. And I don't know if some of that was part of being, an only child and not, having to share things, having a mom who, really made sure that I experienced some things. And so I'm like, hey, if you ain't experienced, if you can't do this, I ain't got time for you. But I was also an athlete. And so I was very competitive. So if you didn't play sports, you're going to have to really, really bring your A game, because I ain't have nothing for you. I will dog you. That was in my 20s. I think I'm a little better now. And your husband better not say nothing either.
You know he thinking something. You know he back there thinking, right? Man, he can't wait to say something. I'm surprised he didn't put anything in the private chat. Yeah, but in your 20s, from my perspective, my lens, in my 20s, unless you're at that level to where you just ready to settle down. In my 20s, I felt like I was already 40, 50 years. I was grown in my 20s. I was grown since I was teen and adult. But in your 20s, to settle down and to get serious and start really thinking about where you want to be and having those conversations, even within yourself. At 20 years old, that's pretty young. I would imagine you want to explore life, be an I before you become a we,
Right.
and what does that look like to becoming an I, knowing yourself, exploring and see what's there on the journey, unless you just find that one person, right? Like, okay, this is the one I want to spend my entire rest of my life for, that I'm willing to just say, hey, this is us, and we're going to grow and on this journey together. But definitely have those conversations and see where you are. So yeah, 20s, I say take your time, and kind of explore yourself first as well. And then before you get to that place to where you want to settle down and and have family and all that good stuff. And he made another point as well too. Yes, communication is definitely critical. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Even in your 20s, start learning how to communicate critically, and honestly with yourself as well, being open with yourself first as well. So he says communication is critical, and open communication is based in trust to verbalize true thoughts. But the ultimate trust shows in the ability to release control and trust that who you allow to lead for that moment has your best interest as a priority.
Well, I want to address this, because I had this conversation with a guy, and we were having a lot of good conversations about a lot of things. Some surface level stuff, some really deep stuff, some intimate stuff. And so I had I shared with him some things that I thought about him, not in a manner of, well, you need to be this type of person, just some things that I thought that would help him grow in a way that maybe he hadn't thought about. And so and these were conversations we were having with each other, so it wasn't a thing where I just dumped it on him. And so in this particular conversation, I hit a nerve because he got very defensive, and he kind of lashed back. And so then he shared with me some additional things, and so I just listened. I didn't respond. And so once I stepped back and I looked at it, one of the things that struck me was there was a trust issue in that. And so when he did respond to me in a defensive manner, he added some things to some of some of the issues that I brought to him. And so that told me that he didn't, even though he told me some of the stuff, he didn't fully trust me to tell me everything, which didn't allow me to have the full spectrum, to be able to have a full assessment of who he was. And so I wasn't fully mad about it, because he said he had trust issues. But I also told him, if you have trust issues, don't like randomly share stuff with me and don't expect me to ask questions. When you are ready to share those things and are okay with getting the response you get from me, because I'm always going to give you a full, honest response, then tell me. But until then, don't say anything, because I'm building, what I think about you based on what you're telling me. So if you're not telling me the whole thing and I can't get a full assessment, then what does that say about you? That, like, I don't know, like, you can't fault me for having the wrong type of assessment of you if you didn't give me the tools to start with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's interesting that he brought that up. I mean, this was a recent conversation.
Oh yeah, and then you have to create that place of comfort and peace. So, if what is he desiring to seek after? What was his main goal, his point of omitting, portions or areas of the conversation. Let me just give her just a little bit just to see
Yeah.
how she handles that.
Yeah.
See what is the motive behind just either you're gonna be fully, open and honest in your conversation, just say that up front,
Yeah.
So yeah, especially if you're an adult, you are what, almost 50 years old, right?
Especially if you're dealing with me, because I'm just gonna come with it. Like, we can agree
Right.
to disagree. We, maybe we can, agree to agree, whatever the case may be. But we're gonna say what we gotta say. Okay, well, it is what it is, and then we gonna move on. But I
Yeah.
know I am not for the lighthearted at all, because as my uncle said on Facebook, I was raised by wolves, and all my aunts and uncles went to Vashon, so they are Wolverines. So
Yeah.
it's a
You
be
just
eater, be
you just
eating
be that,
world.
yeah. Just
Yeah,
be direct. Just be
be
direct,
direct.
straight. Don't cut around the corners, no
It,
loopholes, no
none
trick.
of that.
None of that. Just bring it straight on, head on. Let's just boom. If we go just have that conversation, let's just get it in right here. Don't take me all the way around the
Right.
corner first. I don't need to do all that. Just bring it to me straight and lay it out there on. That's how you're gonna respond. That's how I'm going to respond as well too. How we're showing up in relationships, and being able to enhance one another's lives, have that comfort, that support, whatever age, if you're in looking for a serious relationship, having those critical conversations as well, being open, being honest, like, okay, as an adult, yeah, this is who I am. This is where I am,
And even
and
if
we
you're
have,
not interested in having a serious relationship, still have
yeah,
those conversations so that you can make sure that both of you all are on the same page. Because if you're not, then that's going to have some immediate conflict.
yeah, most definitely. Exactly. That's why I say put it all out there. This is where I am,
Mhm.
and this is where I'm going. This is where I want to be. If it's not serious and we just hanging out, let's just let it. That's how it's gonna be.
That's how it's going
But
to be.
say that up front. We got to
Right.
say that. We have to have those conversations up front. This is what the world we living in. Not just, hey, just put it all out there. Well, they say keep it 100. Keep it 100 for real. Then.
But people are too scared. It's for a lot of people, they've never had a safe space to have a conversation. And
Yeah.
if you were a woman who was already labeled as the angry Black woman, do you continue to live up to that label, whatever that means to you, or do you
Yeah.
just say, what, I'm sorry if you think I'm an angry Black woman. I just want to keep it real. Know that my responses aren't out of anger or hatred. They're just real responses. I'm human too.
Right. Do you trust first, or do you trust your trust has to be built up? Do you
I
give the
trust. I,
person
I trust till you show me I can't trust,
something
because I
different?
have no reason not to trust you.
Yeah.
It's your truth. No matter what the situation is, it's your truth. And so if that's your truth, I'm gonna trust that you handling your truth accordingly.
Yes. And I'm the opposite. I you have to show me your trust up front.
So
You
how does
know,
someone show trust?
and so I can trust you. And so when they're being consistent, showing that consistency, and if it changes, if their walk is not matching their talk, that's an issue. So your walk and your talk has to align, and you have to show me first what
But
you
don't you
have.
think that a lot of times that women, especially if we, are a little bit shaky ourselves, we latch on to people who are filling gaps. And so if they're filling gaps, or we are looking at them with blinders, how do we know what they're showing us is consistent? How do we know that it is it's real? How do we know those things if they're filling a gap?
Yeah,
Because
I
we're
mean,
not whole ourselves sometimes.
yeah, and if that's the case, definitely I would say being honest with myself. This is where in knowing who I am, I'm just gonna say up front, I do have trust issues, and it's gonna take a while for you. You're gonna have to work hard at this. It's not gonna come easy,
Hmm.
and it's not just gonna just give it to you. And I don't know who you are as a person, and do you stand on your word?
Hmm.
So you're giving me one word, or are you really showing what you're talking about? Or are you able to demonstrate and be consistent about it as well? So you're not
Okay.
wavering and you're not shifting one moment to the next moment. So yeah, most definitely that yeah, having that moment. It takes a moment.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
And just knowing who you are. So yeah, I'm not gonna give you my whole piece of pie, my whole pie. I give you pieces of it until you're ready to take on the whole pie.
Okay, so what determines that? Because that goes back to that conversation that I was talking about. He gave me pieces, and then when I responded to those pieces, then he was defensive because he was like, that's not the whole me. But that's not what you gave me. And this is what you're saying, the same thing. So
I would imagine.
how do
Yeah,
people make a honest assessment of you if you only give them pieces?
yeah, and I can only imagine. It really depends on what that piece is, and what part of they're giving, and what he's saying and what he's sharing as well, too, or what I'm sharing or what I'm giving
Mhm.
as well too. Just really depends. I'm only going to give you, or if he's giving me only so much, and as there's at time and throughout the conversation, the more you talk and the more you're starting to peel back those layers, you're starting to see, and then after a while, okay, this is a little different. You said this the other day, but now you're responding a little different today. So
Mhm.
kind of just watching that, and being, I'm very observant, so I'm going to watch, and I'm going to watch with my ears as well too. So
Mhm.
so yeah, most definitely trying to read between the words what's really being said here and what's not being said. There should have been something that probably he said you probably didn't hear it, even though he wasn't saying it. So listening to the parts where he's not, what is he missing? What is he really saying in between those sentences and everything? What is he omitting, or what is
Yeah.
she omitting? So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely being tuned in. Look like we have another question up
Mhm.
here. What happened to the question?
Well, go back to the
Okay,
question real quick.
yeah, let's go. There was a question, wasn't there? Okay, there we go. How do you
Yes.
determine whether you can trust a person? Please share your thoughts.
So for me, I trust until I can't trust. For me, we will have conversations. I if you say you're going to do something, I trust that you say that you're going to do it. Now, if something shows up and you didn't do what you say you were going to do, then I'm going to pull back because for me, if you're not willing to do what you say you're going to do, you're not going to do what I want and need you to do. And so, I'm not going to give you my all. And so in that instance, you're showing me that perhaps I can't trust you. Now, granted, there might be some things that come up that, you weren't able to do what you said you were going to do, or,
Mhm.
share whatever the case may be. But in that instance, because I am a person that, you know, like I said earlier, I'm gonna talk you to death. I'm a person that people talk to all the time about any and everything. And so if you already know that about me, let me know up front and then allow me to be able to give you my honest feedback about without feeling like, oh, you just mad about it. This is my honest feedback. This is who I am. I accepted that you couldn't do what you said you were going to do for X, Y, and Z. I'm okay with that. Just allow me to be able to have that response to whatever it is. And that's how I build trust. Once if we're sharing it and I can't, give you some honest feedback, then it probably won't go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and being able to receive that honest feedback
Right.
as well, be able to accept it as well too. How do you determine whether you can trust the person? I think it's just over time as well too. And so we still have to, I still have to do my part to make sure that you're able to trust me as well. What am I giving so I can help build that trust, that confidence, that you should have
Hmm.
in me, as your
Hmm.
partner as well. So just from my side, even as a woman, what I have to do too is to prove that what I say to you, what I share and what I give, I'm also living it as well too. I'm exercising it. I'm being consistent on my side and on my
Right.
point as well too. So yeah, we're definitely, how I determine that is, how I'm showing up to the space. How if
Hmm.
my words and my action, they have to align. They have to be in alignment.
Exactly.
And if I fall short somewhere, I have to be held accountable for it. Acknowledge it, say, hey, yes, and that's what it was. Be able to admit my fault, at that point.
Right.
But
And not
also,
and not give some silly excuse that
right,
was on me. I messed up. Right.
exactly, and be honest about that. Yeah, you got me. I'm busted, or whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. Yeah, I was talking to, yeah, Joe, Mike, and Tyrone, and all them. Yeah, they were all. I was all in all their pockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, yeah,
Ryan,
you
I
got
do know
me.
this about you. I've known you since I was 14. I absolutely know this about you.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we have another question up here. All
Yes.
right. Uh, let's see here. How have your past relationship gone that you've given the feedback?
So for me, they've gone very well because people who know me and engage with me know that I give honest feedback based off of me just wanting them to be a better person. I am never going to give you feedback or anything out of hate, out of spite, because I want you to fail. I don't want anybody to fail because for
Right.
me, I want to uplift everybody. You know, a lot of times I'll send encouraging words, text messages to people just to let them know I was thinking about them. And you know what? I don't know if you're going through something, but if you are, hey, here's some words of encouragement. And so they never take it, except for that last one. They don't take it in a way where they think it's mean spirited.
Right.
They do, however, I am somebody who I really sometimes, I'm being honest, sometimes I work on kind of soft shoeing it, for people. I don't always know how to do that because I'm a person that I don't we don't need introductions in the beginning of a meeting. Let's get to the meat of the meeting and let's get it over with. I don't like small talk. I don't like that's foolishness to me. I ain't got time for all that. What you want? Why are you in my
Yeah.
inbox? What you want? You know, that's me. I don't do all that extra for me.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know with me for and how have faith, I'm the same way. I want to see someone doing much better, and growing and developing and help support and say, here are some ideas, some options and everything too. For me though, it's been where it's how I come across. I just go straight and that be my response. And sometimes sometimes I don't know if I'm being offensive coming off to somebody or how the response
Yeah.
may come. It's like this is just I don't mean to hurt or be offensive about it, and how my tone can be really kind of low level as well too in my
Mm-hmm.
response. But yeah, but the feedback is that I just want people to be at a better state, in a better condition, leave them better,
Mm-hmm.
as well too. So yeah, that's we both have the same, ideal in that perspective, in that respect as well too. I don't really not a real small talk kind of person. Let's get to the core of what's
Right.
really going on. Like I said before, don't take me all the way around the corner. Just bring it on to me straight. Just lay it to me straight. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You don't have to
Yep.
pacify it. Smooth it out or anything like that. Just give it to me rawly, and let's just go from there. Just be able to receive it rawly as well too.
Exactly.
If you can
Exactly.
give it that way, I hope that person is able to receive it that way too. So, and just be mindful of that, and don't, it's a complicated kind of situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, definitely making sure that the feedback is strong and to help build someone and not break them
Absolutely.
down. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we got Ryan
Yeah.
had another comment for us. He had another one up there too about I am just like LaVada and Steph. What was that? I am
Mm-hmm.
just like LaVada and Steph. I do not trust out the gate. You're gonna have to win me over first, right? The difference is I tell people from day one, I don't trust easy, and it's based more on what I see than what is said. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So then the ball is in their court to score or to turn it over.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. There we go. Yes.
That's it right
That's
there.
right. That has been me for a long time, a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. So yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
I think, even as a kid, I was always one that, my teachers would always say, I was talkative in school, but I would give it to people straight. And then, like, if you can't take it, maybe you the punk, not me. Like, I don't know what to take. Like, I was always like that as a kid. I think I get that from my mama. It's like, put it out there. Either the universe gonna swallow it with,
uh-huh.
wholeheartedly, or they gonna vomit it and run away. Either way, you didn't die, so you good.
Yeah. Exactly. It teach you growth. You're gonna
It to
grow,
teach your
boy.
growth real quick,
Right. You're gonna learn how to be so easily offended and get your feelings hurt. You already had my feelings hurt. Stephanie just crushed all my little feelings, right?
I'm a dream crusher. What can I say? I don't mean to be.
I
And
think I
sometimes,
believe
after it
that.
leaves your lips, it's hard to take it back. You're like, oh man, I probably should have said please on the end of that. My bad,
Yeah.
girl. My bad.
I was thinking about the trust part and trusting people. I'm thinking that we probably do. There is a level of trust that we give people, even though I
Mm-hmm.
might say that I don't trust you up front, but there is a level of trust that
Mm-hmm.
exists in there because I'm allowing that person into my space. Number one, that
Absolutely.
there is a level of trust right there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then it's just a matter of for them taking it right there. What you gonna do with this little bit of mustard seed trust that I'm giving you right now? So what are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna do with that? If you're gonna like Ryan said, you gonna play it, or you gonna forfeit it? What you gonna do? So yeah, most
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So we're at that point. I don't know if Stefanie, if you ready to bring these guys on, if they getting
Let's
ready.
let's let's do
And let's
this.
take a deep breath.
Let's
So we're
bring
gonna
on
have
the
a
victims.
yeah, so we're
Woo!
gonna have the second portion of the conversation. We're gonna invite our men from Manhood Moments to join us in this takeover. And so we got some really hard questions for them. Not too hard, we're not gonna victimize them or anything like that. But we're just gonna have them join this conversation with us. I'm gonna bring my partner, my friend over here for this month. For the month.
Right,
For
because
the
I was
day.
backstage, like, put me in, coach. I mean, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm
we're gonna
ready.
include him in the conversation with us.
I know
And
they thought somebody
jab
was.
him.
They thought somebody was scared.
Right, I have my hoodie
He's
on. I'm
very
over here.
afraid.
I'm over here like Michael B. John.
Don't stretch it out.
And
Warm it up.
Creed, like,
Warm it up.
hey,
He's very, very afraid. So yeah, welcome back, everyone. This is Manhood Moments. This is the takeover. Please feel free to chat, put comments in the chat for us. Your
Mm-hmm.
questions, your thoughts, your comments. Just join the conversation and having a good time. We're talking about how to show up in relationships, some really good tips. And now we're going to bring the guys in, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about this romance and relationship and how to show up and all that good stuff too. So yeah, definitely feel free to join the conversation on tonight. All righty. Welcome. We have
Well, of
my
course,
guy.
Dr. Sir, one of the hosts.
Yes.
They let us in our own show, T. Patrick.
right,
Saying, I think you need to be at the bottom. Like, you ain't supposed to be in the same box with my co-host. You're supposed to be at the bottom.
Having a situation with the technology part. So
we need folks to
tried that.
cash app us so we can get some new technology.
yeah. That's dollar sign the REIT though.
Exactly.
I was about to give my cash out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then we also have T. Patrick, who's
I'm
with
here.
us on tonight, the other co-host of the Manhood Moments. We're gonna shout out to Tony Bird in his absence, but we have a special guest with us on tonight, Latrell Hayes. Welcome to the conversation.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
Nervous.
I know, right?
I know.
Not at all. Not at all.
The Bible out and scriptures.
I've already had my wine. I'm
the
holding my beer.
holy oil and
All right.
everything.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna kick it off. I know Stefanie got some questions for you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and ask these questions.
And LaVada asked questions as well. So, and if you're out here in the universe and you have questions, put them in these chats and let's get these men to answer these questions. Let's go.
We're
All right.
listening.
So let me just throw out my first one. What annoys you the most about us? And if you had something to tell us that was a secret that you could tell us without consequence, would you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Repeat that first part again.
What annoys you the most about us?
Nah, I'm gonna say this, guys. I'm single, so you know what I mean. If you just want me to go in here, I'm free because you know what I mean. I can't be cut off at all.
You ain't got to make up for nothing.
But I will start off like I think being married young and then coming back out in the dating scene. I was given advice earlier this year to stop dating. I think that was the best advice I ever got. Not at the time when I heard it, but I'm saying,
Dr. Petty?
yeah,
Dr.
Dr. Petty was like, "Hey, remember he said I'm supposed to pay y'all some money if I dated or whatever." So you know what I mean? You put some money on the line, yeah, I'm gonna cut it all off, right? But I mean, I guess nowadays it's just really understanding like people presenting their authentic self. So I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think that annoys me to no end. Is having to kind of like you guys said, cutting through the whatever to get to whatever. Now I can be direct, I suppose. I just believe it's getting to the getting but there are a lot of women these days that are not authentic, or maybe don't even know what they want for real. It's like, you'll be told something, but the behavior doesn't match the words that are coming out. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't no clingy person at all. So it takes a lot. So if I like you, that means something, because it takes a little minute for me to get to that point. I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So, I value time, but like, yeah, that I'm a leave. I'm a pause right there.
Okay. What
Trev,
about you,
I'm gonna
Latrell?
let you go next.
What annoys you about women?
I think over the years, the biggest thing that annoys me when a woman says, you're having a debate about something, or something's going on you don't know, and you ask them what's wrong with them, they go, I'm fine, and know damn well ain't nothing fine about what you're going through right now. But and we're gonna back it up, we're gonna follow up and go, really, what's wrong, baby? And you're gonna go, I'm fine. And when you shut your mouth, then here comes the rest of it. So just tell us what's wrong in the beginning. You don't have to wait. But I've seen that time and time again. Where you ask a woman a question, something's the matter with her, but she does not share. Now, I will say this after listening in the background, I don't get that impression from Stefanie, but that may
Oh, no,
just be
not
me.
at all. I'm not at all, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
No, not at all.
You mean
Not at all. Yeah.
you mean you don't want to play coy just a little bit, Stephanie, where you like
No.
nothing?
Hell no.
No.
I've been on here
Ask
for
me
50
again.
years. I
Not
ain't
at
got
all.
time to waste no more. No.
Not at all.
Hell
Right.
no. No.
Yeah, ask me again. Maybe the fifth time I'll be ready to tell you.
No, not at all. You don't have to think about. You don't have to think about or question what I'm thinking. Now here it is. You don't have to ask none of that. This is what I'm thinking, and here it is. I'm
Right.
I'm going to come to the straight with it. So
Right.
The thing about that is, when they say that, their indifference or neglect to communicate oftentimes bring more damage than outright talking about it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And if we do that up front, you can avoid a lot of that miscommunication that has taken place prior to the beginning of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, most
Agreed.
definitely, exactly.
I think for me, that thing that annoys the most.
I'm sitting right here.
That's good. That's part of it. That's a part of it.
Tell the
Want to
truth
control
now.
what we think now.
About that.
All about honesty here, right?
I know. And part of it is just that. It's like be honest, but then as soon as you're honest, then it's almost like, well, why'd you say that? What you asked me to be honest, right? And I also think one of the things that I believe, this whole idea of earning trust, right? And the real reason why we have to earn the trust is because somebody else broke that trust, right? And so now we got to constantly figure out what's the goalpost, what's the next level, what's what, and that's kind of challenging. That's challenging to figure out, how. I'm one that believes a person should earn the trust too, but I don't believe that they should earn it through a series of tests. Like you going like Indiana Jones, you got to go through all these different tests just to earn. And most of the time, those tests aren't even tests that's relevant to them. The tests that some Steve Harvey done told them they should do, or some of their single friend who ain't never had a man say that you should do. Have your own voice. And I don't mind going through if I know at the end I can win. But don't have me in this game that I can never win.
Right.
But you know what too, Dr. Rice, a lot of times when a woman, even when you go through that process, and this is Latrell chapter 4, verse 6. So you got to work with me on this, okay? When they get to the end and the woman is wrong, they tend to not to know how to say I'm sorry.
Oh no, not I say I'm sorry.
I know, right?
I've had a difficult time.
I do.
Their way of saying something
Don't be
is
on
by
this
doing
train.
things for you. They'll do stuff for you. They'll go cook for you, do stuff for you.
Let me ask you this
Just look
question.
straight.
Oh wait, let me ask you this question. So, one of my other questions is about your love language. So if you say, women, they won't verbally say I'm sorry, but they show it in other ways. Is that not acceptable?
Well, for most of us, it has to be because we're not going to get "I'm sorry" verbally. It's not going to
No other way.
So
Yeah.
it has to
That's
be.
the only
But-
option. It's
So
like
why you
giving
bring
me
it up then, Latrell? Go and take that gift then, man.
But see, if a man doesn't say "I'm sorry" and then he goes and does good things, and you'll follow, I say you vicariously, you'll follow up and say, oh, he know he was wrong. That's why he's doing that, And
Right.
so it works the same way with women. You do the same thing, but I think it's easier for us to say "I'm sorry" than it is for men, from my experience.
Yeah, I mean the goalpost move, like like Rice said from there, and it's like, okay, you know, w- w- when do we get the victory there? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes, that's rough. Okay, well, if we don't, then that's
I would rather do a verbal "I'm sorry" and hear a verbal "I'm sorry" than give me a gift. Don't bring a gift. Say give me the verbal "I'm sorry," and that's what I give as well too. I give
why
a
though, LaVada?
verbal. I want a verbal. Don't bring me
Because
no.
you can hear the voice inflection. When
Yeah.
someone says "I'm sorry," that voice inflection goes a long way. "I'm sorry" versus
Yes.
"I'm sorry." That voice inflection means everything. So I want to hear "I'm sorry." I go
Yes,
back
Not-
to
exactly.
And the trail, not. I'm sorry.
yeah, there you go.
right.
Okay,
Right.
look.
Well,
Now let me ask this thing: is there a difference between "I'm sorry" and "I apologize"?
Yeah, because I say ask to forgive me.
I
say
thought we the
forgive.
panelists.
Oh, you are. I'm sorry.
I'm talking to them.
Well,
Is there a
I've
difference
heard.
between "I'm sorry"
most of
and
the
"I
time-
apologize"?
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Most
I've
of the
heard
time
that.
that I apologize comes with, it sounds like this. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Or I apologize you feel that way. It's
That's
like
right.
apologizing
That's
for
right.
my feelings.
That's
But
right.
you're not apologizing for your actions.
There's a preamble to that apology.
well, I mean, for me, I think that it is to me it's one and the same. I mean, it's an acknowledgement of, um wrongdoing and a statement of regret. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the definition of an apology. So I mean, I'm okay with that from that vantage point. Now it is, I watch behavior, so you know what I mean. The best apologies change behavior. Okay, so you can say sorry. You say sorry. You can sound as sincere as you want, because I've heard with tears and
Mhm.
snot and slob, and still the behavior is the same. So you know what I mean. That's what I'm looking for. You got to follow it up with that. But I'll take the gift too, because I mean, hey, you know, because if you really don't mean it and your behavior don't change, I gotta do something, right? Yeah, nice little consolation gift, right? Just in case.
Okay.
I know, right?
Hey, notice what Ryan said. I don't know if you all want to reflect on this.
Yeah,
point
so
number two.
Ryan says two things for me that annoy most is one, women do not apologize.
Oh,
They
Lord.
use acts to let you know instead. And two, they have a selective approach to wanting old school treatment when it comes to fit their benefits, then switch to new age woman again when it fits their benefits. Being versatile is nice, but not when it's used as a weapon.
Good.
Okay, I get that.
Really?
I get that.
Get that man some hearts and some likes out
There
there.
you go.
Okay,
There you go.
Ryan. Thank you
There
for
you go.
sharing your thoughts, your comments. That is a good one.
That's
I don't know about this apology thing, so okay,
Nice.
go ahead. What was part two to that question?
You ain't getting ready to apologize for not knowing that.
But you
wait a minute,
know what too?
Go ahead.
Because men are sexual beings, women will use sex as a way to apologize. But for me, once I wake up from that nap, I still want you to say I'm sorry.
Right. I mean,
and that's if there's a nap involved. You might make me mad.
so the lesson here, ladies, is, you know what I mean. You gotta apologize, and then you gotta give the consolation gift. So you know what I mean. Whether it's sex or whether it's a gift, or make it even better. You know what I mean.
I know, right?
I wake up from a nap to a gift. Now, you know what I mean. Look, I might not even care if you mean it or not. For
I'm
you,
gonna take
that
a
might buy
nap
you a
too, and still
pass.
not apologize. How about
That's
that?
funny.
I'm taking a nap
Interesting.
and still not.
Now,
Okay, how about this question, guys? Are labels important in a relationship? Or period? You know, whoever you digging, are labels important? And why? Or why not?
When you say labels, do you mean
Yeah,
this is my fiance, this is my husband, or what do you mean when you say
Ain't
labels?
no labels.
However you define it. Like, you know, if you just kicking it with somebody, you say, oh, we just if you out with a young lady you kicking it with and y'all encounter another man, you say, oh, I'm just kicking it with her, and then she talk to her, are you gonna be mad about it because y'all don't have a label? Like, do you put labels on that?
You mean like more like titles, right? A title,
Titles,
give a
labels,
person a
whatever.
title.
Mhm.
Okay.
if it comes with it, yes.
If
it,
what comes with it.
if I'm married to you and
What if you're not
you don't
married?
introduce me that way, I have a problem with that.
Well, married, yes, but if you're not married,
If I'm
should there be
dating you,
labels?
the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So
It's
what would that label be if you're just dating?
I mean, if you know, I don't know. We can go to elementary school. My boyfriend, my girlfriend, something that says that we're connect. We are one together in this relationship. Because once you start dating somebody, it is supposed to be that you're off the streets from hanging out with other people. You know, so there's something that has to be there to indicate that is the case. If you're not saying anything, what's going to indicate it?
But is there not a difference between dating and being in a monogamous relationship? Because if I'm dating, I may not only be dating you. I might be dating a couple guys.
No, if you're dating me, you're only dating me.
Yeah.
You ain't the boss of me, Latreya. I ain't gonna just
have that conversation and know what's up front. So it's just, are you multi-dating or are you single dating? So for Latrell, his thing is if you had that conversation with your partner, you're single dating, you all are exclusive. So
That's
yeah,
right.
we getting titles,
That's
right? So yeah, that's my late right. So okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I
got
mean,
you.
I agree. I think you know, it depends on the connection and the individuals, you know, and that discussion has to happen. Because, you know, it's important to me if it's important to my mate. You know what I mean? The bottom line is, you know, there's so many labels nowadays that, you know, who knows what. There's talking, and then there's dating, and then there's engaged, or
Situations.
and then there's
Mm-hmm.
this, and
Side chicks and booty calls and
I
Right, entanglements.
right. So I'm like, I just need, like, you know, I need like a some sort of key to go along with whatever the situation is. Like, you know, are we dating? Are we dating? Are we dating? Like, you know, what
Too much.
what
That's too
what
much.
level are we at? You know what I mean? Because I've had that where there's miscommunication where I would say relationship, and relationship is just me. The relationship is just the connection between two people for me. But I'd have people think I want a whole relationship because I said relationship, and I'm like, whoa, wait, I don't even know you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know your middle name. Like, you know, let's slow down.
But you
But
know
I
what?
realized like that communication has to be there.
mm-hmm.
You know what, T Packett?
So it can be important. But to me, like I say, it just depends on what our discussion is, and what we agree to. Because I might be down for whatever, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be going with you and you for the streets. Like, you know what I mean? That doesn't work for me. Like, you know what I mean? We both need to be for the streets, and we both need to be together. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
let
both
you say it
fair.
right up front.
And you know what, T Packett? That's why I'm looking at it in the chats where Ryan Smith is saying labels are only for those on the outside. I absolutely disagree with that, because I need to know where I stand on the inside. You know, if I know where I stand on the inside, the outside is going to take care of itself. You know, so I want that label on the inside to tell me, because we're going to carry ourselves outwardly with what we said we were inwardly.
Yeah, I agree with that because, like, you know,
Good point.
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because if I don't know where we stand, you know, that creates a disadvantage. Like, you know what I mean? Now I've got to decide what to do with these feelings, or not to do with the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's going to end up upset because we're not clear about that.
Right.
But I
That's
think
it.
but it is important for me to know where do we stand, because, you know what I mean? I need to know my level of commitment, I suppose.
At what point do you attach or associate a label or title with someone? I don't know if you're like in doing a multi-dating thing or single thing, or if you've been exclusive, or you dating to court to go to the next phase to build a serious rate. At what point are you putting these labels into place?
I think when we both agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I think when we come to an agreement, we both recognize this is the space we want to go, even if it's not necessarily even just a marriage, but just that we want to explore the possibility of having a monogamous relationship. Then we can start to put those labels, and we both agree that that's a label that we want to use, right?
So,
and we don't want to make the assumption, So if we sit down and like old school, okay, I want to go steady, I want to date, or whatever the case is. Now we say, okay, how should I address you? No, should I address you as boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, boo, whatever.
So then if you all, or once you all get that understanding, and this is, I think, more pointed to you, Latrell, why do people on the outside need to know?
Because to me, it's not that they need to know, it's that it should just show. And you don't go back and say, hey, we're dating. You don't do that. But when you have that interconnection from the inside, your walk is going to dictate how you carry yourself on the outside as well. And you don't walk up to some friends you knew for a while ago, hey, what's up, dog? This is my booty call. You don't do that. That's not that's not something that happens. When you walk up to someone and you're in a relationship, you're gonna introduce them as to who they actually are. If they're y'all just friends, you're not gonna say this. You're gonna say this is my friend. But if it's more than that, you're gonna introduce them as who they actually are
in your life.
In your life, that's right.
And I think not that it. So don't take it from I don't want to speak from like a point of validation, but it does create a situation to where, you know what I mean. Okay, we're in agreement, right? For me, up until we get married, it's a two-way door for me. So just because I call you my woman, my fiance, you know what I mean, don't mean, because I've been engaged and I have taken that ring back. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to walk through that door, for whatever reason. So you know what I mean. It's always a two-way door until we say I do. Then you just stuck with me, and I'm
But
in
are
the
you
basement.
using that two-way door while you're in that relationship?
I don't.
The door is open to go, but are you using it while you're in there? That's the question for me.
Well, that's a good question. Let me try to understand. Like, what do you mean? Leaving,
I
coming,
mean,
like.
we know until you get that document that says we're married, that anybody can leave without many repercussions a lot of time. But if you are in that relationship, are you then going to say, well, I'm in this relationship, but we're not married, so I can go and do this? Yeah, this is my girl, but this is my side piece.
Okay.
Or is it exclusive? Is what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, for in my perspective and the way I see it, yeah, no, it is. I mean, yes, it is exclusive, right? Like whatever level we agree to, if we agree to exclusivity, that's where we need to be until we decide that we're going to part ways. What I mean by two-way door is I'm observing all actions and allowing this individual to be who they are, because I need to determine whether you need to be here, and you ain't gonna show me all of you in the first 6 months, in the first year. Shoot, it could be 10 years down the road and I not really know who you are. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I was married for 7 years and we didn't know each other. But we lived together and had kids together. You know what I mean?
Bumping uglies don't constitute you getting to know somebody. I was just bumping uglies.
You ain't got to even talk.
Right.
At all. Sometimes you just don't want to talk.
Right, and if that's the agreement, sometimes that's what I said when I said people sometimes don't know what they want, because that might be what they want, but then they let expectations creep in, and so that's the point when I start to now we got to have this discussion, because now you've changed the whole game. You mad at me because I thought we had an agreement. Now it's another conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I've had people avoid that conversation, like, okay, so you're mad and arguing with me about a situation that I thought was okay. Something's changed. Let's talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that becomes a point of frustration. I think, with people who just don't know how to communicate that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's it. Bottom line is communication. But Stephanie, that's the question that you had before. That was two-part. We never did. I want to go back and revisit that one.
I don't know. We got
Yeah,
off.
it was
The very first question.
The very first question that you had.
What a noise was the first part, and then the second part was something else.
The second part was about what would there be something that you would share?
Oh, if you had something that you needed or wanted to, if you had a secret, to tell the woman, if you had something to share, would you share it if you knew that there weren't any consequences?
There you go. That's the question.
If there weren't any consequences, by consequences, what do you mean?
Like,
within the relationship or outside?
Negative consequences.
Negative consequences from the woman. You know, sometimes we say we open and honest, but it might be that one insecure thing that the female has that you don't say anything about because it's just a touchy. If you could hit it with a nail and know there are no consequences, would you?
If it wasn't any consequences, I would, but most of the time we recognize that there are going to be consequences. Therefore, we withhold some things because, quite honestly, most women can't deal with all truth. So we withhold some things simply because we know that there may be a consequence. Now, I think as we mature as men, sometimes we just realize that if you're going to give us a consequence, then maybe that's the relationship we don't want to be in the first place. So we just go ahead and say it, but early on, we're thinking, okay, how do we preserve this relationship? I know for me, I've held secrets and some secrets I would take to the grave, because I just didn't feel safe enough in that relationship, to be able to share that, to be able to share it. And if it wasn't something that was relevant to that relationship, I probably wasn't going to bring it up anyway.
Because the favorite phrase when something goes wrong was, remember what you said at that time? It always comes back. Some kind of way, that phrase always comes back to bite us later on. People, that's why I don't like it when people says, forgive and forget. That phrase absolutely drives me crazy.
But doesn't that mean if they bring it back up, it was unresolved?
Well, no, not necessarily. It could be as a point of conversation about something, so it's not necessarily that it's unresolved. I had a friend, another minister that we go to church with, and he was talking about how his wife has forgave and forgotten. She never talks about, she has totally forgiven him. And just like the Bible say, forgive and forget, which I still haven't seen that word in the Bible. But so then I said to him, I don't believe in the terminology forgive and forget. I don't think it exists. What I believe in is forgive and remember, but don't remind. Because when you don't remind, you're not throwing it in their face. But if you're if you're telling me to forgive and forget, you're telling me not to learn from what has happened. And that's not possible. If that's what's going to happen, then destiny is doomed to repeat itself. Because I want to recognize it when it comes.
No, I mean, I got to break away, fellas. I'm kind of with Stephanie's point on this, and this is really, if it comes back up, is it resolved? Maybe it's not. Maybe we thought it was resolved. Maybe there's another discussion that be had. Maybe there is something, to pull away from that. I mean, but I also challenge the woman because you're gonna have to be 100% honest now that we're here. So if I'm gonna repeat this conversation, now I need you to really dig deep and tell me what it is that you want. Don't be coy and shy, because obviously, and that's how I look at it. Like if it comes back up, maybe I begin to question. Maybe I didn't do a good job of explaining, or maybe I didn't give you the closure that was necessary. And I don't feel that that's any kind of put me at a disadvantage. I feel like, I should care about my partner's concerns or what's frustrating. But you know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily bother me to hear it again. It bothers me when we revisit it and then we really don't get anywhere. So we have pretty much the same conversation. So now I know it's going to keep coming up, and it's something that's in you that you don't want to share with me.
But that's what I'm saying, T. Patrick. We just contextualize it. We compartmentalize it. If I'm bringing it up because it's a part of some sort of conversation that they were trying to make clear. She was talking about how she forgave her husband for all the drugs he was doing and all the stuff he was doing promiscuously. So, but it's not in her heart anymore. So she didn't forget it. She knew it was there, but she doesn't hold it against them. That's what I mean. So
Okay.
it didn't go away. That's all I'm saying about that. You know, I saw where that someone like Lenore was talking about Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. I get that. The whole idea is not dwelling on the past. That's all I'm saying. You know, but to let it go as though it didn't happen, you haven't learned anything. That's me.
You know, I wish we could, and I believe in the scriptures. I truly do, and I try to live by them. But I also understand, but some scriptures you got to walk out, right? And so when we're talking about these challenges and things like that, the idea of actually walking out. So forget the former things and do not dwell on the past. But quite honestly, we live in a society and we exist in situations where no matter how much we want to forget the former things, most of the time those things are not forgotten, even in the best spaces, right? And so when dwelling on the past, simply because I want to choose not to dwell on the past, don't mean that the space that I exist in don't want to dwell on that past, right? And so we have to we understand that we're walking out some things. And some things there are even going to be conversations when we land in that casket, right? And so, and folks, you remember when such and such did such and such? You know what I mean? Why they reading the obituary? So some things we never really walk down. No, we just move past them. I used to tell the guys, I worked in criminal justice, you all know that. I used to tell them, I say, life is like a scale, right? And so when we do so many negative things, that scale becomes this way. It goes off. So our goal is to try to do enough things just to get it back balanced, and then hopefully do better things so we can tilt the scale in a positive way. But that doesn't mean that the things that were there from the past are not in existence, you know. So, and quite honestly, in relationship, not even just the relationship that we're in, but the fact of the matter, I think it might have been, I don't want to mention his name, but a gospel singer who stated that he found it difficult to be in relationships, to find a solid relationship, even though he wanted one, because he came from a homosexual background, right? And so women didn't trust that he wouldn't go back, or it was difficult for them to fathom the man that they're laying with may have once laid with another man. You know, so those are things when we're talking about consequences, some things ain't even about us. It ain't even about the relationship we're in. So that's why you ask the question, do we bring those things into that relationship unless it's something that's going to put that person at harm, you know? And so, you know, so I think that I do believe that there are something. And then Consuelo asked a question. I want to go back to it.
Yeah.
She said
most women can't deal with all the truth. Help me to understand that.
I knew that this would be, because I also saw Brother Jones' response said, nor men. And I was not excluding man, but what I'm saying is oftentimes men are raised and socialized in a culture that does not allow us, right, the same amount of levity we have to deal with a lot of rejection. It's like we learn to deal with rejection. Women aren't socialized in a rejection environment. Therefore, when rejection comes on them, it's oftentimes very difficult for that woman to hear the truth of that man, because we've not been conditioned to let that man be truthful. We've been conditioned to control what that man thinks, and that man has to be politically correct, or he has to say the things that correct. That's why most of the time, most men only speak truth when they get drunk or high, right? But for me to be in a sober mindset and say, babe, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, it's going to be very difficult in that house.
Okay. Either you two want to comment on Consuelo's comment?
No, I understand. I agree with what Rice just said.
Okay.
And see, but we can even women and men, we just cannot hold that person up because of what you all did in a previous relationship. Just because that woman or those women couldn't handle your truth doesn't mean the current woman can't handle your truth as well. And I know we do it on both sides. So
Right.
it's most men, most women, can't really deal with all of the truth, but we cannot hold that person in a space because of what someone else couldn't handle or couldn't receive from you. So we have to make room for the new person in our lives and say, hey, this is a space. I want to trust this space. So here's my truth. And then take it from there. So
Right.
that's the thing, because we
Yeah.
have to be able to take that space where we are currently, and no matter what the situation or the issue is, whether it's trust, whether it's giving, whatever it may be, take that space, that current space right where you are, as if those spaces did exist, and don't bring that package over here. Give this space a chance. Give this
Yeah.
space the opportunity to trust, to build, and to grow, and to communicate, and not have what we had previously. Forgetting those, like Isaiah 43, forgetting those things, what happened back here, not holding
Saying
on
you
and
nod
dwelling
your
over here.
head.
Yeah.
Because
I want.
because quite honestly, it's not the man most of the time who is holding things against the woman coming into a new relationship. Most of the time, when you think about double standards, right? Most of the time, you hear a woman say that they don't want a man with children, but most men, we pretty much have to accept, right? Or we come into a situation most of the time when you think about forgiveness, the real a man looking past things. Most of the time, it's the man who will look past a lot of issues, her past whoredoms and everything else, right? But that man is not given that same ability to. So if I come with the past, then oftentimes my past is going to be really scrutinized as a determination. Most of the time, a man is going to say, "Hey, that was your past. Hey, so be it."
Wait a
Well,
minute.
I,
Man,
I
don't
mean,
say that. Now you talking about a woman's
well,
whoredoms. What about y'all whoredoms?
No,
I
I'm just
mean,
saying. I'm
I
using that
understand
as
what
an
you're saying.
example.
I
yeah,
understand what
I'm
you're
not
saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as the focus, but I'm saying the fact of the matter is most of the time you don't get that kind of judgment from most men.
Yeah.
Either if a man is determined that he's going to be in a relationship with you, he don't care, right?
yeah,
And if a man is determined that he's not going to be in a relationship, he's not going to be in a relationship with anybody.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the challenge is the fact that there's a lot of healing that has to go on in
Thank you.
order for
Yes.
us to get to that
Mhm.
point to
Yeah.
understand. Because I get it, like what I mean. We're speaking from experience, right?
Mhm.
And what the experience is, and I have to agree that that's the case, but I do have to hold myself accountable too, and I try. I ain't perfect at it to understand that. Okay, I got my own biases too that I have to work through
Yeah.
um, in
Yeah.
certain situations. And like I said, that's why I've challenged myself to be willing to have additional conversations. I know we done talked about this
Mhm.
5 times already, but all right, babe, this is what it's gonna take for us to get there. But I need you to
Right.
open up.
Exactly.
The problem is there is I don't I want to tell you what my frustration is, but her, him, whatever, don't want to share the real reason. That's it. And we can solve this whole problem by you just saying, look, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm having trouble dealing with your hoarder, bro. You know what I mean? From the past, right? Okay, we can talk about that. All right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Here's what I've done to change. Or let's level set. Maybe this ain't working. Maybe that's the issue. We trying to force a square peg into a round hole because this is something you can't get over,
Right.
or whatever. And that's fine. You have a right to have your preference. And as I grow, that's what I'm trying to understand is that, because you guys talked a lot about trust and this, that, and the other. And
Mhm.
I just trust people to be them.
Who they are.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just my plan is to see them well. Now it could be
Right.
5 months, 6 months, it could be a couple of years. I don't see it as wasted time, but I try
Mhm.
not to let it affect how I behave
Right.
in there,
Mhm.
and that's tough for me. I'm because that's tough for me, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
Brother Jones, just for a point of clarity, and thank you for joining us tonight. We enjoy all perspectives. A point of clarity, I will clarify or maybe put this in perspective, the men that I'm around. Right. And so I'll let me qualify that. The men that I'm in a circle, and I'm in a circle with quite a few men, right? And so if that man has made a decision that he's going to be in a relationship with a woman, he does not care about her past.
I absolutely agree with you, because look how many men who accept women with 1, 2, 10, 12 kids, but when it's time to go see your one child, that woman has a problem with you dealing with your child because she wants you there with her children. You know, that's a major issue there. Don't be going over her house and check on your child that you help bring into this world, but you deal with mine. And so all those things, that's where the combativeness comes into play, because there's not I don't know if there's not an understanding that, hey, I had this life before you, but when we're in the relationship with you and you have those children, we don't say don't let the daddy come and deal with their kids, because we want the daddy to be a part of those children's lives. The other way around doesn't happen as easily.
But I think for some women, it's more of if I got kids and we're together and you see, you know, my kid's father come over here, you can see that interaction, versus if you go see your kids, I don't know what she trying to do or what y'all might be trying to do.
But you know why,
That's
Steph?
communication.
You don't want to go over there with it. You don't want to go over there with me. You're like, I ain't going to her house.
Right.
You know,
and that's a communication and trust thing. You know, those are conversations that people need to have.
You don't need to go over there for the kids. Bring the kids over here in the first place.
You go over there with your kids. You take my kids too. I need a break. No.
Hey, take your own kids with you.
Not sitting here with babysitters.
Take them all.
Rose.
Look, I got a question. I'm gonna lighten this up real quick.
Real quick, Stephanie. Can I respond to this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Men are visual, and men are very visual. I know I'm not a man that wants to know about sexual conquest. And part of the reason why I don't want to know is because of the visual, but the other part is because I don't want to trade stories.
Right.
And I don't want to get into the trading of stories, because at the end of the day, that's not going to benefit the relationship. Right? Because oftentimes, not always, but there are times where you've been in sexual relationships with individuals who you are still friends with. And it's evolved. And so once you get to talking about all those conquests and things like that, now the person that you're in a relationship is going to look at that person strange, as if you just got out the bed with that person or things of that nature. And so that's one of the things is we keep that in the back. I'm past that. I'm not ever going back into that space again. So, fellas, what's your thoughts on that?
Real quick, I gotta respond real quick. This is how come out. I struggle with the term that people say they love unconditional, because there's conditions on everything. You know,
preach.
Yes.
Because I mean, love ain't free. None of this stuff is free. You have to work at getting it. So when people say I love unconditional, but and it's not unconditional, it's because it's not free. There's always an expectation, no matter what. If there was no expectation, then that's unconditional. But there's an expectation to go along with that relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess true. Even if the expectation is just for the person to be who they are. I mean, there's an expectation for something, and I have to caution myself, because I'm like, am I really just waiting for somebody to mess up? Like, you know what I mean? If I'm expecting you to be who you are, am I just waiting till you do something that's like, see, that's what I'm talking about, right?
It's self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
Because you over there creating scenarios for it to fall apart.
Well, you can do enough in that relationship to cause that person to do something. Then you say, "I knew you was gonna do it."
Well, see, the thing is,
she's hungry. You put a donut on the table. I knew you was gonna eat that donut. Go and get up out of here.
Or I could commit the ultimate sin and ask her where she want to eat, knowing she's not gonna give me an answer.
Not really. I got an answer for you.
Always whatever you want. But no, I'm just saying, like, I don't, I don't put much thought into what a person's going to do. But you know what I mean? Like I said, I have to recognize that there's some trust issues that I'm working through that cause me to think like that. You know what I mean? And where that root comes from that perspective. But
you know what, man? I was counseling a couple here recently, and she says, I just want him to come and hold me sometime. And I'm like, okay, I get that, especially if you're in a monogamous relationship, you want to one relationship, you know, you're gonna tell me to come and hold you, and I just took a Viagra. Ain't no holding. That's not gonna happen.
Maybe after, you know what I mean?
Right?
Latrell, you better tuck and get the hold and go about your business. You come in with alternative motives and stuff.
Hold you, okay.
But listen though, you know what I mean? Look, why can't we compromise, right? You know what I mean? We can cuddle.
You got something, you already got something in the middle. What's compromising?
We had a negotiation point. Okay, look, you scratch my back, I'm gonna scratch yours.
Those feels, though.
Right.
Yes, we can't be wasting those feels, right?
Right, hey, and I already took it, so you know what I mean. Like, you know,
You got to wait a couple hours. Don't they last 4 hours? You gotta wait.
I'm gonna hold you up. I'm gonna hold you up to the nap.
right. As soon as I wake up, I got you. As soon as I get up.
Steffi, you had a question?
Yes.
Yeah. Question, fellas. What is the first thing you notice about a woman? And you better not say her intelligence.
No, not her intelligence.
Oh no, that's
hips, lips, and fingertips.
What?
Hips, lips, and fingertips.
Earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
Hips, lips, and fingertips.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do not see a woman walking by and go, oh, she looks so smart. No, I have never done that.
Most men don't.
Never in my life have I done that.
Oh, she looks like a hard worker.
I mean, if she got big hands, she might, you know.
Yeah.
You might notice that if she's not that attractive, she's really intelligent, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, it's hair and legs. So hair and legs are, you know, have always been an attractive part.
Well, Saint has been,
and now it's kind of challenging because you don't know about the hair, you know, but then legs. You know. I was in a situation long time ago. Long, like Bernie Mac said, long time ago. Well, I thought it was real, and I got the stuff. It was more tracks than other Amtrak. It was like I was all
Hey, that's a lot of trust on her part to let you get that far. That head generally would have went up there. Hey, bro. Right. Usually that's the strength of Samson when you go and try to touch where the tracks are. It's like,
Hey guys, when I met back in the day when I met Shonda, she was my student, and I'm a black man. I like a nice rear end, so she purposely put on some jeans for her presentation and stood right in front of me. I didn't hear nothing she said for the whole 30 minutes.
She got an A2, didn't she?
I gave her A though.
Everything was 100, right?
She was in my compensation class, and she had to do a presentation on compensation. And she told me when we got together, I wore those jeans because I knew where you were sitting and I knew what you wasn't gonna be doing.
Wait a minute. So this is how my mind went. He said she had on them jeans and her presentation was on point. I'm thinking her ass was on point.
Yes, it was.
That's a real presentation.
He meant both of them.
Right.
But listen,
I don't know what she said.
Wait a minute.
Got an A.
wait a minute now, Latrell, because see, here's the problem now.
Yes, sir,
now Latrell was my college instructor. You know what I mean? For that same class.
You ain't getting your A, bro.
And I know. I got a B for talking too long, but she get an A because she was okay. All right. I'm finna write somebody. I know that.
Should have had a presentation like old girl.
Hey, well, I wouldn't put on no jeans for the trail. Okay, that just wasn't happening. But to answer the question, you know, I'm like Saint, hair is a thing for me. So you know what I mean. Long wavy hair was a thing, and you know, yeah, that is it. And a nice shape. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, what would cause you all to fall in love with that woman? I know it still couldn't be what you see on the outside. So what would cause you to fall in love?
Or out of love?
Well, in truthfulness, once you get past the physical, you still have to get to know the person.
Yeah.
You know? And once you get to know the person, that's when you start getting past the other outward stuff. You start
Yeah.
understanding the intelligence and or the lack thereof. You start seeing how they carry themselves. And for me, I'm one. Once I get past the physical part, and I'm gonna get past that first. Once I get past the physical part, then I can start focusing in on those things. And once those things come to light, if they don't fit the motif of what I'm dealing with, then the physical is just going to be the only thing that survives.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would that hold that up though? I mean, you still couldn't fall in love with her just because of their external features, right?
It's not lasting love, because at some point most of our features tend to dissipate somewhat. So,
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we have to have something else to hold on to.
So what about some intangible attractions then? What about that? Would that get you to the next, I guess, the phase of falling in love with that individual, or no, not even at that point?
Emotional intelligence. Oh my God, it's so very attractive to me. I mean that and that's just recent. Before I didn't care, Before I didn't care, but now that has to be there. I'm not looking at anything else you got. You could have the nicest house, nicest car. Don't make me know. Never mind. I got my own money. I am literally like, do you know who you are? And do you know exactly what you want? And can we have a conversation about it and move forward? Do you fit into my space? And that's important. But that's just, I got to make my song reference. I haven't done it
Go
today.
right ahead. Come on,
Well, it's not really a song. It's shout out to LaBusi, but he says he'd be like, right. He said, "Man, I used to be bucked up about her. Now I just feel like she regular." Right? When you talk about the physical and get past it, it's like the physical, but there has to be that attraction, though. Right? I was just talking about that with somebody else. Well, there's nothing wrong with you having a preference to this, that, and the other. It's like, there has to be that attraction, but there has to be more to it. Once I get past that, like I mean, it's a lot to it, because I'm me, and like I say, sometimes I get tired of me, so I know somebody else do.
I'm glad you admitted that. Thank you, T-Pax. The voice.
You ain't quite 50 yet, so you get 50.
He got a few years, right? That might change in about 5 years.
What happens when I get 50?
A whole lot.
There's 10 more years where you don't get tired of yourself. You figure out, man, sometimes I'm the best person to talk to.
Oh, okay.
You might even need some Viagra. You just never know.
You know what, LaVada and Stefanie,
take your vitamins.
I was looking at the chat, and I just happened to see Kim say it's not love, it's adoration. It's admiration. I don't even know if it was admiration. For me, as a person who hadn't grown to where I am right now, it wasn't admiration. It was lust. It was straight out lust. So I admired that. The other stuff came as I began to know that person. I mean, the mother of my child, I think she's beyond my mother, I think she's an excellent mother. Wouldn't trade her as a parent to save my life, but that's not what I saw when I met her.
Right.
So.
And I think, to add to what Latrell was saying, it's an evolution, right? Because we also ideological. And so we have these ideas. Growing up in the church, I had this idea about having a first lady and things of that nature, a woman who could, lead the church, because that was my goal, right? That was my end goal and my purpose. So I was thinking about that. Also having someone that's educated, right? Because I value education. So those things became important. But then when you go after those things, instead of just being authentic with the person, and most of the time we go after, I can speak for myself, going after relationships almost like an application process to see if they have the skill level to fit these spaces, instead of just looking at the person. And it's hard to look at a person when you don't look at yourself, right? Because if I'm only looking, and from my own personal experience, I was looking at relationship through a broken lens, because I was broken, because I was jacked up, right? I was not dealing with issues and things that needed to be resolved. And so going in with this rescuer's mindset and not being transparent about issues and all these secrets and everything else like that I had not resolved within myself. And so I kept getting the same result. But it wasn't until I started making those decisions where I could first of all heal and then become my authentic self and not be concerned about things, and then I could present who I truly was, and it wasn't based off of the roles that I hope to accomplish in my life. It's good to have that. It's good to have someone that can walk in your purpose, but it's even better to have somebody that can just know you, because your purpose causes you, all our roles and things like that, that causes us to live in a space where we have to wear all these various masks. But when I come home, I don't want to put that mask on. I want to be able to be maskless. I want to be able to be saint. And if I need to be weak, if I need to be whatever, I need to be able to trust that she can handle whatever many faces that I may bring to the space, right? In whatever situation I may bring, and understand that's who I am, right? And now I'm in that space. And the challenge is, though, is when you get to that space, and Latrell can, all three of us can relate to this, being in spaces where we've been married and divorced, right? You build up this fear. Because did you really get it this time? Do you understand the test now? Right? Because you done felt that test so many times, and you have this concern. Okay, or have you really changed? You know, I'm talking to myself. Have I really changed? Am I really the man who is authentic and able to truly be real? Right? You know, and so that relationship has to go through all of that too, because you may not be dealing with some other things, but you're still dealing with some insecurities. And so she has to be able to understand those insecurities and recognize that those insecurities aren't necessarily about this, but it is about those past failures. It is about those challenges and things like that I'm still working through. But I want to be in this space authentically. So.
But you know what, too, Dr. Rice, it's so many women have to understand that we as men, we hurt too.
Yes.
They have to understand that we hurt too. We go through the same pains that they go through. They have to remember that when a woman is hurting, we go there, we hug her, we constantly say we're gonna be there. I got you, baby. But when we do that, who's gonna catch us? And we need to know that there's somebody going to be there that's going to catch us, that I can be open and honest with. And I'm not worried about you throwing that soft part of my life in my face when you get mad at me about something.
Right, exactly.
And Latrell, we talked about this, and then T. Patrick, I'd see you. Latrell, we talked about this years ago. Remember, Jake's told us that men cry hard, but we don't cry alone.
Yep, exactly.
And
I remember
the reason why we don't cry alone is because we don't have a safe space where we can actually work through that pain and actually get through it. So we cry real hard and oftentimes alone, but then we come out of that closet like we're healed because we're no longer crying, but really we're still very wounded, but we have to go through this life acting as if everything is good, and we Superman, when in actuality, we're really broken.
That's right. That's right. And then you have the man crying, you got the woman crying, y'all going to find a church, and then here come the crazy kids. You got all four of y'all in church, and everybody's going through pain, and nobody's being healed.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like the feeling that sometimes, without that safe space, who really cares? And I think that's, ultimately why, through growth, emotional intelligence became so much more important, because I'm still healing. So it's going to take a woman that's strong. I got to be strong, and we got to be strong for each other, because I mean, life is peaks and valleys. It's going to be ups. It's going to be downs. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be episodes as we learn each other through this process of togetherness. Stuff just going to come out, and how we deal with it, and not having that partner to do that, having somebody there, but y'all not being on the same accord to be able to really trust each other enough to go through that, really opened my eyes to, like, whoa, I'm here, but I still feel like I'm alone. I
Right.
gotta be strong for all of this stuff. I've got kids, I've got these, and I'll get it done. But the problem is, there was nights where, what I mean, I had to cry by myself and be okay with that. And I'm still mad at myself, because not now, but I mean at that point, like, man, I felt weak, from that perspective. And okay, what who really knows? Who really knew? And I
Right.
had to get up every day and go do my job and deal with other people's issues. Put that down. Then I leave at 4 and pick that right back up. And that's where I am until I get back to work at 8 in the morning until I figured out, okay, I got to do something about this from a healing perspective.
Gotcha.
That's why no more hiding is important to me. It's not about these podcasts and things like that. It's not that the ministry I'm ministering to others. I'm actually growing from everything that we talk about. It's ministering to me, so it's creating a fraternity of men who.
Hey, this is women takeover. You can say that your spiel when y'all on y'all podcast in 2 weeks. I got a question from my friend. So my friend texted me and said, when men come out of a long-term relationship, and I'm using her words, why do they act like they have to lower their standards and try to make us feel bad when they get into other relationships with women who are below what we were to them? So basically, you in a long-term relationship, y'all break up, and then it seemed like you didn't went with Sally Scallywag, and you taking all this mess from her, but you wouldn't take this mess from me. Why do y'all do that? This is coming from somebody else. That wasn't my question for real.
Well, I think he did take some mess. That's why he left, or the relationship broke up. Because if it was a good relationship, they'd still be together.
But I think her question is, it seems like the women, once he got into another relationship, that woman was, according to my friend, a lower standard.
Well, that's that woman judging the other woman.
That's
It
right.
is.
Yeah.
But this is her question.
Yeah, I understand, but that's that woman who's judging that other woman, and she's judging that other woman by her standards of what she felt like she brought in a relationship. That man is judging that woman off of what she's giving to him. And she may not be coming with the degrees and stuff like that, but if she makes that man feel like a king, if she treats that man with respect and gives him the space that we've been talking about, then guess what? She's much better than a 401k.
That's right. I consider myself, I don't know if I'm proud of it, but I'm fortunate enough to be a very highly educated person. I got more degrees than a thermometer, as they say, but I don't give a doggone about a degree. I care about how you're going to treat me at 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up sweating and crying. How are you going to treat me? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care about your degrees. I don't care about your money, because if you love me for me, that's all I need. Allow me to do those things.
Amen.
That's a message right there.
That is exactly
for me.
That's it right there. Exactly. Same
Really,
thing.
because I mean that's the name of the game. I think at the end of the day, and society, to some degree, has we flipped that and think that if we check off these lists, either we or our partner there's some value there. And the bottom line is, give me somebody that makes me feel like a king. You know what I mean? That I can treat like a queen. We gonna figure the rest of it out. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm a highly educated. I'm not as educated as the good doctors there, right? But I'm a highly
I didn't mean it like that, man.
No. You know me. I just joke, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still a highly educated man. But the Lord has saw fit for me to go through some things that brought me to a point of humility. So I don't even value that, because with my master's degree self, right, HR certified, I was unloading trucks at Home Depot, and I'm proud of it. Got promoted too, right? Hey, because Home Depot hired me when I was having trouble getting hired in my profession. And I showed up and did the best work, and I worked with some very good people who didn't have as much education. It didn't matter, because we on the back of a truck in the summertime and it's hot. Don't nobody care what I know. They want to know if I can move the packages off of there, how fast I can do it so we can go home.
That's
And
right.
that humbled me to that point to where, hey, I tore up all my lists after that. So I'm glad I went through it.
Yep.
And there's a king, and there's a kingdom in us. There's a kingdom, and basically, and so I think about when we have that purpose, and I know a lot of people say, well, you need to work on being by yourself, but very few people have a gift to be just by themselves,
Mhm.
right? Some people don't want to be in relationships, consistent live-in relationship or whatever, but there are very, very few people who are by themselves. And so when we challenge people to be by themselves, to be opposite, because the one thing God said that wasn't good in the word was it wasn't good for man to be alone. Everything else he said was good
Mm-hmm.
up until they fell. So God understood the impact of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about relationships, we have to talk about from a balance. And then when Paul comes back and he talks about the idea of loneliness, he uses it in the context of being a eunuch. He said the some were born eunuchs, in other words, they were born with the ability to not have an internal drive for someone. He speaks in the sexual sense, but an internal drive. He says some made themselves eunuch and some were made eunuchs by
Mm-hmm.
others. They
That's
got
right.
into relationships that
Mm-hmm.
caused them to say, I don't ever want that drive ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so for a man to get into another relationship after he's been deeply hurt, right? He understands his inabilities to be alone, but he also understands he's gonna learn some things that he said, okay, I don't want to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Right.
think that we can't judge that woman or me as a man, I can't judge another man who is with someone who's from my past because they
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
fit that person. And
Right.
if you find that piece that fits in your puzzle, then all of a sudden you got a complete puzzle. The problem is we're trying to push all these little pieces in there that don't fit. And when we say, well, I'm done with that piece, now all of a sudden it's an issue. Wait a minute, what you did you try it this way? You try no, it don't fit.
Right. You're right. That's right.
And then just to, with her question, it's like, well, we can't really judge what happened in her current relationship with the guy. He's moved on, and she has to accept that as well
Mhm.
too. And so, just because he may have decided to be in a different space with someone she deems as a lower class or a lower level than her, something happened in between that just didn't gel
Right.
right on their side. They just didn't fit. She didn't fit into his purpose. He didn't fit into her purpose. So he had to shift and move into a different space that fit the scope of what he's looking for and what he's desiring in a relationship. So for her, it's just a matter of she just gotta just move past them and say there could be someone else. Because a lot of women get that question in my mind. I just groomed him for the next woman.
But you
Right.
know what, too?
That's not
I'll
the
say this and
case.
then I'm going to shut up. I'll say this and I'm shut up. A lot of women have had Adams in their lives. You know that part when Adam was in the garden and Jesus came looking for him and he started talking and she said, "The woman whom you gave us to me, she gave me the tree," because he was blaming her. And so these women who've been with a man that was blaming them for the issues, they get with another man who they're thinking is going to be blaming them for those same type of issues instead of letting that man be the man who he is. But because Adam was who he was and he blamed her and didn't take responsibility for the fall of what went on, that's the picture that she has.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're about ready to wrap this up. Some really great questions, really great time. We want to thank everyone for joining us on tonight.
Yes. Thank you.
Just to give just to share in this moment is, like I said, this is what February is considered the love month. And so we wanted to just bring in something a little different, shift the conversation a little bit in this womanhood takeover. We do always like to close with some final thoughts. We do definitely want to give our panelists opportunity to share a few minutes. Take a few, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, not two more, to share some final thoughts with the audience. And then Steffi and I will close it out with our final thoughts as well. Let's start with, go ahead, T. Patrick. Would you go ahead and start us off?
Okay, so are these Kojic minutes or they just
No.
regular minutes?
These are just a T. Patrick moment.
'Cause I
This is
just
a
need
T.
about
Patrick
5
moment.
Kojic minutes. No, no, no. No, this was this great conversation. Didn't know what to expect coming in. Like I say, I was ready, but I mean, I thought it was very thoughtful, and meaningful discussion. I mean, it's nice to hear the different perspectives on that. You know what I mean? I'm representing where I'm at and what my experiences are. But like I say, um, we've got some work to do. Obviously, what I mean, from a relational standpoint, black men, black women, and so I think we got to continue to heal and continue to strive towards being our authentic self. And I think that's what the key is, and we'll figure out. We're resilient. We
Mhm.
definitely can figure it out.
Yeah, we
How about you, Latrell?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be able to sneak in on tonight. I'm always watching from afar, but I really appreciate that, and more so than what we went through tonight. It's just important that and Saint and T. Patrick have known me for many years. T. Patrick as an initial student of mine, and Saint we met while he was working many years ago, and we've grown together. So I appreciate that relationship, because there's nothing like the relationship of men challenging men and getting men to be stronger in what's going on in life. Because I'd recognize in the circle that I'm in, if you can't handle the brick being knocked off your shoulder, you can't be in our circle. Because we're going to, me and Saint have had this conversation. We're going to correct each other. We're going to talk to each other. We're going to challenge each other. But I want to close with, I want the women who might be listening today to understand that for me, there is no greater gift from God than that of a woman. You know, when God gives us our gift of a woman, it is I'm charged and required to treat her with the specialness that she is. I'm gonna mess up sometime. I'm gonna do good sometime. I just ask that woman, whoever she might be, to come and walk with me while I grow. Because once I get in another relationship, that's another place to grow, and that's all I want from that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Latrell. Thank you so much for joining us on this evening as well too. And then we're gonna have some final thoughts from Dr. Sarah over here.
So I want to take a moment and thank our guests that joined us for the first time. We had Kim Stevens on our sorors, and then also Brother Leroy Jones. I'm hoping I'm saying it correctly. And then we see others, Ryan Smith, who is always with us, and Bishop Dean, and so many more. Thank you all for joining this Manhood Moments podcast. I'm gonna leave it there because women gonna try to correct me. But my thoughts is this: is we are growing on a journey. We really are. And these conversations are very critical to have. We have these conversations all the time. Yeah. Shameless plug for Imperfect Interchanges every Monday night at 8:00. We have dialogues about relationship, about the Word of God, because the Word of God is ultimately where we're going to find answers, right? We can reason among one another, but we got to go back to what God says, right? And ask God to give us understanding. But this is a great dialogue, and we enjoy when the women take over, because that gives us a chance to reflect and take a breath every first and third Thursday. We're looking forward to seeing you. So thank you, ladies. Good job.
Thank you. All right, Stefanie, you want to have some closing?
I'll just reiterate what everybody said. I appreciate you guys being our victims for the evening, and I encourage everybody to listen to these. But mine are simple. My words are know that you're enough, and know when you've had enough, and trust the process in along the way.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Most definitely sounds good. Thank you. We definitely want to thank everyone for joining us on tonight. Our guest, if that was your first time visiting, was with us on this evening, our podcast. Like Saint said, we have No More Hiding for Men on the first and third Thursdays of the month at 7:00. We have Dr. Sarah, he's the host, T. Patrick, and also T. Bird, who's normally hosting with us on the first and third Thursdays of each month. And then we also have Imperfect Interchanges every Monday night with Dr. Sarah and Mrs. Dr. Sarah. All right. On those evenings. And so, like I said, go out to our YouTube page, No More Hiding for Men. Like us, share us, subscribe to our channel as well, too, on Facebook, all the social media platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those areas as well, too. So with my final thoughts, I would just have to say it's showing up in relationships is to be honest. Be honest with who you are first. Being honest with that individual that you want to build a relationship with well too. And just be your authentic self, and this is my truth, this is who I am, and this is where I am, and then decide from there to move forward and how you want to show up in those spaces where you want to build, and it's for purpose, and to learn and to grow and to develop and to help one another fulfill their purpose as well too. So don't force fit anything, be God sent instead of I went. Keep that in mind as well. And we just want to thank everyone for joining us on tonight, and have a great evening. And we're going to have close out in prayer tonight. Huh? Okay, let's have a word of prayer on this evening, okay? Lord God, we just want to thank you for your grace, your mercy, your love towards us, oh God. Thank you for just being a keeper of our lives, God. Those that are listening on tonight, Father God, those that are in relationship, romantic relationships, just help them, Father God, to heal on their journey, to be purposeful in their journeys, oh God. In the name of Jesus, we thank you right now for what you're doing in the lives of each and one of our hosts on this evening, Father God. Just touch us right where we are, Father God. Help us to grow in those areas where we are weak in and where we fall short in as well, too, God. And we just want to thank you for vision, for insight, Father God. We thank you for your love towards us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Have a